All right, so we got Roman Reigns currently off TV since the Royal Rumble. Basically, after that elimination, got a double foot stomp from Seth Rollins and hasn't been on TV since. I believe it was also announced that he was going to be out indefinitely. So, not sure exactly how the timetable looks like for him to return, especially because we are just about over a month away from WrestleMania. But at the same time, there was something that actually happened on AEW television where John Moxley cut a promo, kind of similar to what Roman Reigns did a while back. So I'm not going to say like I remember what he said word for word, but it was very similar in the sense where he talked about how this camera is his and the seats, the fans are his, and very similar to that. Yeah, that very same promo that Roman did against when he was about to face Brock Lesnar and their feud. So, kind of interested to know, do you feel like this was kind of like a copycat promo, or was he kind of like paying homage to his fellow Shield member here?
I think that's a tough one. I mean, he could be copying it and doing an homage to his fellow Shield member. He could be doing it as a knock. He could be. It's like in music, right? In music, there's only so many chords you can use. There's songs that sound identical because they use the same chords or they use the same progression in how the music goes. And I guess in promoing, there's a lot that you can do, but sometimes you're gonna run into. I feel like you're gonna run into stuff that sounds similar to each other. Mm-hmm. So I mean, I wouldn't be surprised if it was a shout out to Roman. You know what I mean? As far as Roman being off TV, I think that's a good thing. Mm-hmm. Keep Roman exclusive. You know what I mean? Keep him this elusive beast that's not always on TV. We just had 4 years of him being the champion, and while he did kind of teeter off towards the end, I think it's a good thing to not oversaturate him, especially with the whole Solo and Jacob thing going on right now. They got to figure that out, right? Those two they really should, keep Roman off so that they can focus on Jacob and Solo doing their feud, because I think if Roman comes back anytime soon, it might steal the thunder. It might take the wind out of their sails. I think it's better that they focus on those guys, so that they can flesh out the whole bloodline story, because there's a lot of them now. Yeah. And then you're right. There's two more guys that they're looking at bringing in, mm-hmm. and they're signed to WWE. And I feel like they're oversaturating the whole bloodline thing. I think if they bring in any more members, it's gonna feel too. It feels like it's gonna feel like too much,
like a NWO thing, right?
Right. Exactly. It's gonna feel like an NWO thing where it's like, okay, like we get it. Yeah, you guys are like the big bad, but it's like too much already. You know what I mean? Like, mm-hmm. So I think it's a good thing that they keep Roman off TV. Bring him back when he's needed. When they're ready to give him a full blown story, which is obviously going to be with Seth and then CM Punk, right? Especially mm-hmm. with that whole favor that Paul Heyman owes him, and it's obviously going to be with Roman, which I think down the road is because Roman's going to end up becoming champion. Like we were talking earlier in the podcast about how Cody turning heel could lead to Roman versus Cody, where Cody's the heel and Roman's the face, mm-hmm. and CM Punk could call in that favor after Roman deals with Seth. So, I mean, I think it's a good thing that Roman's off TV.
Yeah, I think when we think about somebody like Roman Reigns, does the guy's stock get hurt because he's off TV? Absolutely not. You know, like there's always that whole hysteria of, you know, like the IWC or even just people in general talking about like, you know, not having one of your biggest stars on TV. And again, I think sometimes we forget, you know, when you got somebody that is as big as Roman Reigns, we do forget like the guy's human also. Who's to say that the dude's dealing with stuff. And I think sometimes we forget too, like he had gotten diagnosed with leukemia, and like, and I know it's in remission, but who's to say, like, he's not getting any younger. What if the guy's like, like doing the things he needs to do to, make sure he maintains that health and stays healthy for that matter. I think working such a hectic schedule, especially a WWE schedule, it does take a toll on your body. And Lord knows what kind of lifestyle he has outside of WWE. So to that point where, he's off TV, it is kind of close to WrestleMania season, but I think we understand like how he can be inserted, and it's not going to be just like, like a lazy type of booking here. He's clearly got this impending feud that we all see developing with Seth Rollins, but he could also be plugged into another match specifically with like Rollins and CM Punk. So who knows? The other one too, I think that, which is kind of like a unicorn there, is him and The Rock. So we don't know exactly what might happen this upcoming Mania, but there's clearly ways we can just insert him into the picture here, and I don't think his time off TV is really going to be hurting him whenever that starts to pick up. I would say leading towards Mania season. I think going back to like the whole Moxley thing, it's interesting because it does come off as like, oh, like the whole narrative of AEW, them typically not having any creative direction or even kind of like lazy booking for that matter. It almost does seem like it kind of ties into all that, but I don't think it was intended to like come off as a knock on Roman.
I don't think so either. I don't think so.
Yeah, so it could be really more of like, like paying homage there, because they're Shield brethren, and those guys in real life, let's be honest, like they know each other more than we all do. I don't think they hate each other. There's no hurt feelings being in different companies, and the way we look at it, like rivaling companies. So at the end of the day, like he is probably, in my opinion, he could be probably paying homage to him, specifically to like, I guess, elevate the feud that he has with Edge. But it also kind of makes me feel like with Moxley, the direction with his whole like Death Rider gimmick and him leading that, it just doesn't feel like as engaging at this point. I've kind of said this in the past. I'm very critical of this whole gimmick. It's like, I think it just needs to be done with, and there needs to be some sort of like change or pivot in direction for him moving forward. But yeah, like with Roman off TV, I'm not really bothered by it, because I want to also elaborate on another point you made, the bloodline. There's so many individuals here kind of like making their way into like the WrestleMania picture, specifically Solo and Jacob. Like they clearly have a feud impending there as well, and sharing the TV time for them to get that going, as opposed to having Roman like take TV time, is positive in my opinion. At the same time, like we don't know exactly what comes of this whole bloodline thing. I'm gonna throw out there the Usos. Like Jay's clearly got his upcoming match with Gunther, and Jimmy. We don't know what Jimmy's gonna be doing yet, but he's also been a little bit more prominent on screen as well. So yeah.
We also gotta look at it this way too. Like WWE it's a machine, right? So it's not just in ring anymore. And I mean, it's never only just been in ring, but even more so nowadays, especially because they're owned by TKO. They've really branched out. So who's to say that even though Roman's not on TV, who's to say he's not out there doing interviews, not doing promotional stuff for the WWE?
Yeah.
Product lines or whatever, you know what I mean? I'm almost certain that WWE is keeping him busy doing other stuff. Who knows? He might be filming movies while he's off too.
True.
Might be doing other stuff.
Yeah.
So I mean, I'm sure Roman's keeping busy right now, as far as being off TV. But like I said, I think it's a good thing that they keep him off TV right now. Give other people time to shine, and it shows that the WWE will survive when players like Roman Reigns Seth Rollins, CM Punk, Randy Orton, all these big names that are within maybe the last third of their career, maybe the last quarter of their career. That once these guys are gone, once they're officially legends, you know what I mean? Once they're officially legends and they're gone from the main event scene, that WWE will survive and they have these guys that they can lean on once they're done. So I mean,
Absolutely.
I think yeah.
Yeah, no, that's definitely 100% agreed on right there. I think sometimes we do lose sight of that, and there's always that whole I would say reaction from IWC is like WWE doesn't grow new talent or put new people into the main event scene, and here's just a clear example of it. And there's always no pleasing that crowd. You know what I mean? Like you got like new stars up and come in, and you got like different people in that main event scene, and then the moment Roman Reigns or like a Seth Rollins, John Cena is not in that mix, people are complaining, bitching, and screaming.
Yeah.
So
Yep.
So yeah, no, I think you made a good point there, and at the end of the day, too, I'm hoping that this whole John Moxley thing, it just,
I think it's overblown.
yeah, no pun intended, but write it out, death write it, write it to the ground, and just be done with it.
Yeah.